Warning, I haven't watched Bleach. This is only for fun, and a good excuse to make a video on this game, so please be nice. This video contains spoilers for the entirety of Expedition 33. If you want to play the game for yourself, why haven't you? Or if you don't want to be spoiled, click off now. But for those who have already played it and don't care about the spoilers, let's start the show. In the world of expeditioners and Neverons, no man or woman even daring to go on an expedition would do so without the trusty tools of destruction. Some are beautifully crafted katanas, some are wielded by gods among men, and some are just a frying pan on a stick. But what if the weapons you wield are those only bestowed upon the Shinigami? Will it be enough to take down the Patriots? That's what I'm here to find out as I ask the question, can you beat Clair Obscur Expedition 33 as Ichigo and Rukia? You may be wondering, how will this challenge work? It's simple. This is a weapon restricted run. The only weapons I'm allowed to use are Confuso, which is supposed to resemble Ichigo's Zanpakudo, and Melorum, which is supposed to resemble Rukia's Zanpakudo. They will also be upgraded to the max, and I can only use the party members who wield these Bleach-inspired weapons, those characters being Gustav, Mayel, and Verso. That means I will not be able to use Lune, CL, and or Monoko for combat, and for simplicity, I will also be referring to Gustav and Verso as Ichigo and Mayel as Rukia. I will be doing this on New Game Plus and Expert difficulty, and I will only be equipping Pictos 5-ish at a time, to make the early game a bit more challenging. The only time I will ever equip these Pictos is if I need a bit more power against the boss I'm facing. With all that out of the way, let's begin. Starting off in Lumiere Garden, Ichigo is ready to say farewell to someone who broke up with for story reasons. But before that happens, we enter our first fight with Rukia. Since this is supposed to be the tutorial fight, this fight is a breeze, no real strategy involved. After that's finished, we make our way to Sophie and have a grand time until the Gamache finally takes her to some others. After a little bit of meandering and a rematch with Rukia later, we finally get sent off to attempt to stop the Patriots from ending our existence, being a part of Expedition 33. When we arrive ashore, things don't exactly turn up according to plan. An unusually old man creeps up from the fog and sets the tone for the rest of the game.
How did you survive the Gamache? Which expedition are you from? Fall back!
After losing almost the entire expedition in about 5 minutes, Ichigo wakes up in Spring Meadows. I'm going to go over this now. I will not go over every single encounter. That would make this video drag on for way too long, and it already is going to be way too long. We traverse the path until we reach a mountain of our former comrades. This inflicts so much sadness into Ichigo that he almost plans on ending the challenge early. Fortunately, useless party member number 1 is there to stop us from doing that. After Lune tells Ichigo it's not a good idea to point that at his head, we get into our first Portiere fight, which is really simple because it's still early game. And since there's no important fights coming up, let's go over Ichigo's Zanpakudo. Confuso is a light element weapon with the gimmick of increasing the amount of times you can burn someone, increasing that burn the longer you stay in the fight. With that in mind, a build that centers around fire is a must, right? Well, Gustav doesn't have these stats. We'll talk more about that later. For now, after finding the resting place of Expedition 81 and meeting a friendly face, being a white jar, we arrive at the rally point inside the indigo tree and we encounter our first boss fight. If anyone was wondering, these are my current Pictos I have selected for this fight. Since I'm only Gustav right now, my plan is to stay as tanky as possible while being alone. This is subject to change once I finally get Rukia as a party member. The first boss is regrettably challenging, probably a skill issue on my part. It takes me a few tries to kill him, but on my third try, I was finally figuring out the strategy. Farming overcharge and punching him when his break bar is full is the key to victory. And once I figured that out, I was able to squeak out a win. We arrive at the rally point, and there's nothing to speak of. No allies. Nothing except for a cryptic message saying that Rukia is inside a hut located in Flying Waters. It was most likely placed by an expeditioner, but they forgot to sign it, and that raised some alarms with Lune. And after a little bit of arguing,
Protocol also states, never move solo.
Ichigo convinces Lune to follow along so they can find Rukia. After resting at camp and writing in the journal for the apprentices, we make our way to Flying Water. After stumbling onto Expedition 68's dead bodies, we continue forward to find the hut the message mentioned. After opening the door, we are sucked into the hut. On the inside, however, it looks like a mansion. After a bit exploring, we stumble upon a room, and that room has Rukia inside of it.
Gustav? Are you real?
After a heartfelt reunion, we are introduced to the curator. Then, in a little duel, we are introduced to the mechanic of jumping. And in this duel, we're given our final party member, that member being Rukia. These are our current pictos right now. Pause if you want to see them. Since she's finally an asset to our challenge, let's talk about what her function will be in this run. She is going to be serving as our damage character for the rest of the entire game, her weapon of choice being Melarum. Melarum is a non-elemental weapon which specializes in keeping her alive and hitting hard when she goes under 50% health. This is because going under 50% health gives her the ability to go into Virtuous Stance, which increases her damage by 200%. Her Picto setup is going to be close to where we have Ichigo at right now, with some small alterations. After finally leaving the hut, we are introduced to Noko. Noko tells Ichigo that he has a really cool mustache and then lets us know, after a little bit of persuasion, the next course of action is to go to the Gestural Village and Ancient Sanctuary. On our way out, I stumble upon an optional boss near one of the flags and thought, hey, this could be a pretty good test of my power right now, and well... So yeah, I might need to nerf myself a little bit. So I'm going to use those void moves only when the boss seems way too hard to defeat with my other moves. And I will really try to make sure I don't have to use them. After going the wrong way, I ran towards the flag and the boss of the area jumps in front of our way. He didn't know Rukia just one-shot a boss and he's next on our hit list. But before that, I went to the flag to change my moves out. I decided to change the void moves out for Sword Ballet, Degagement, and Revenge. Now that's out of the way, it's boss time. In the boss arena, Ichigo notices a similar rose to the one he gave to Sophie before she got blipped. The boss jumps out after we interact with the rose, and the fight starts. Ichigo plays support while Rukia packs the damage in fistfuls. This did require her to go down to 1 health using Last Chance, allowing me to fill my AP bar and putting me in Virtuous Stance, increasing my damage by 200%. After a very close call, we emerged victorious. After the fight is concluded, Lune points out that this Nevron only attacks because they wanted them to leave the flowers alone, and with that taken care of, we head to the Ancient Sanctuary. We witness the first nightmare Rukia has in the story, and we end up back at camp. Ichigo and Rukia bond over throwing stones and nightmares. Ichigo then tells her to run whenever they face the white-haired man and promises her that he will do the same. We gain access to the curator after the cutscene, letting us upgrade our Lumina capacity and our healing items, as well as serving as our blacksmith of sorts. This won't be useful for this particular run. Maybe one in the future? Anyways, after writing in the journal again, we make our way to the Ancient Sanctuary. Suddenly we hear a loud alarm. The party is mistaken to be a pack of Nevrons by the Gestrals, and we are forced into our first encounter with the Sakapatate, giant mechanisms created by the Gestrals. After realizing the game just threw Luna on our team, I die and go back to the previous checkpoint to make sure she's not on our team. This is a reoccurring problem, but the fight itself, not too bad. Granted, I did get overzealous and didn't decide to use one of Ichigo's skills, which got him killed. This shows the extent of how smart I am. I am not. After the Sakapatate is defeated, Karatom jumps out of the wreckage and the party persuades them to lead them to the village. After a bit of traversing, we get to the end of the sanctuary maze. This time, we are put to face with the ultimate Sakapatate! And it was easy. Just required the same strategy as we did for everyone else. The only thing that provided any sort of difficulty was the split-second cannon attack, but even still, maybe this challenge won't be so bad after all. Anyways, that fight did prove one thing though. Ichigo, at this state, cannot damage anything for shit, especially if they resist lightning. With Ancient Sanctuary taken care of, we finally head to the village. We go and speak with the head of the tribe, Golgra. Hell yeah. Golgra isn't exactly keen on letting us cross the sea to fight the Paintress, at least until we participate in our tournament. This is because the help that we require, Eskie, seems too big for us to handle, at least in Golgra's eyes. So now we have to go through a few rounds to prove ourselves. The first 3 rounds are not too interesting, pretty simple gestural fights, especially if Rukia is the one in charge. But the 4th?
CL?
What? How?
We finally get introduced to our second useless party member, CL. Rukia then promptly no-diffs her and we unlock her as an ally. To never use! After the tournament, CL talks about how she survived and asks the others, Ichigo trauma dumps.
Well, I woke up next to a waterfall and...
We can talk later.
Or at least he attempts to. We make our way back to Golgra and gets a secret password. After making a pit stop back at camp to write in the journal, and
Do you feel something?
Alicia, I told you to stay home.
You should never have come. You're only going to make things worse for everyone. Now take your friends and go home. Let them spend their final year in peace. This is your only warning.
well, that was traumatic. We make our way to SKA's nest and confront door guy. Ichigo promptly yells the password.
Get out of my way!
Cheers!
After reliving the experience of an orphan with a drunk stepfather, we traverse through the nest until we meet SKA, in the flesh.
Bonjour, mes amis.
Hey, bonjour mon ami.
SKA tells us that the only way he can help us is if he has his rock, Flory. Flory helps him swim, but it was stolen by his neighbor/nemesis.
The one known as François.
We arrive at Francois' cave and...
Now get off my lawn!
It's okay. We'll leave. We're just here for Flory.
So, not only are you intruding, you're here to steal? Oh my word! Humans! Well, over my dead body! Rah!
we have to fight him now. Okay. Well, he should be pretty easy since he's pretty sedentary and... Oh. Jokes aside, he was easy. Just one sword battle and knows enough to seal the deal. Great! Now we have the rock and now we just need to...
That's not Flory.
What do you mean that's not Flory?
Ha! I never had Flory! Your rock is still on the Stone Wave Cliffs!
Well, shit. Now we have to go to Stonewave Cliffs. This shouldn't be too much of a problem, we just need to take our small jaunt and we'll be there in a jiffy. It'll be a lot faster since we finally unlock SKA for traversal. After a cutscene with a little nice heart-to-heart, we rest and we finally enter Stonewave Cliffs. SKA shows how OP he is and we continue forward. After seeing some Pillar Man get tossed off, we make our way through, stopping to fight some Nevrons on the way. After making our way through the cliffs, we finally end up at the caves where Flory resides. But it's guarded by a boss, the Lamp Master. And now it's dead. Just kidding. That was its first phase. The second phase is not as simple. Speaking of said phase, it took me a few attempts to beat it. The first time, what the fuck is going on with my mic? It took a few attempts, but attempt number 3, and I was able to get a one-shot off the second phase with the sword ballet. After a hard-fought victory, we find ourselves obtaining the rock. As we ready ourselves to sail, Ichigo was fatally wounded by the white-haired man. Instead of running, like he promised he would, he decides to stand his ground and fight. But... it doesn't work out. The white-haired man attempts to Doctor Strange Rukia, but he fails, and when all hope seems lost...
It's been a while.
Verso steps in to save Rukia. Back at camp, and with the help of SKA, Rukia mourns the loss of Ichigo. A little while after that, Verso arrives at the Expedition 33's camp. And at this point, I will be referring to Verso as Ichigo from now on, and Gustav by his own name. The title of being Ichigo is now Verso's. This is all only because I want to. It doesn't have to make sense. Ichigo gives the Lumina Converter and Gustav's destroyed arm to Expedition 33. Ichigo talks about how he isn't affected by the Gommage like everyone else is, and how they can stop Renoir. And that officially closes out Act 1, and now it's time for Act 2. Ichigo attempts to comfort Rukia, but Rukia just really needs some time for herself. With that out of the way, we finally unlocked the ability to swim in the water with the help of Eskie. With said help, we can finally make our way to the Forgotten Battlefield. When the party members arrive, Rukia can't handle to see the bloodshed, and asks if they can lay Gustav to rest. Ichigo suggests the location, and they head there. But before they get any more distance, they are stopped by Nevern wielding a giant weapon. The game starts the fight, and Lune is in my party. Damn it. If only there was one way to... Well, that works. We kill him and proceed to the flag, where I sign my stats and unlock all the skills for Ichigo. Finally. This is going to be my current setup. Pause if you want a good understanding of it, and I'm increasing my pictos I have access to. They're all right here for both Ichigo and Rukia. And since I'm playing Verso now, we can finally talk about Confuso and its stats. With the first ability, when you crit with Confuso, you can apply burn. With the second ability, when you apply a mark, instead of applying mark, you apply more burn. And with the final ability, burn damage increases per rank to 300% on rank S. It takes a bit to get to rank S, but we can speed this along with the ability Overload. Overload allows us to get to rank A and refill our AP at the cost of our health. This is Ichigo's version of Last Chance on Rukia. This allows us to get rank S fairly easily. But if we're in a bad position to use Overload, we can instead use Lightholder, which will increase our rank by 1 every time we use it successfully. This does look pretty good on paper, but let's see how it works in practice. With that, let's get to the boss of the area. After a few attacks, the first phase is failed easily, albeit with Rukia suffering a death because of my inability to be good at games. The second phase, however, was way easier. My damage skyrocketed with Ichigo. He is now on par with Rukia. And because of this, I'm going to do something I didn't think I had to do. I'm going to increase the health of all the enemies. For anyone that hasn't been keeping up with Expedition 33, they added a new update which can allow you to make your enemies a lot harder to fight. This is with the ability to increase their health and also cap your damage. But for this challenge run, I'm only going to go and increase their health, decreasing it if I need to. At last, they finally reach Gustav's final resting place. It's a somber moment, the loss of such an important person in the party members' lives. Rukia vows to take revenge to save everyone, but they have to be strong if they're willing to take down the Paintress. Back at camp, and some insightful words from Lune later.
To know a secret? I have no idea what I'm doing. And I don't think anyone else does either.
Me too, sister. As I was saying, we then speed along to Monoko's station. After desecrating a dead body, we come face to face with Monoko, final useless party member number 3. But if there's one thing that Monoko offers, it's the fact that he is the funniest character in this game by far.
Ladies, could I?
After increasing the health of the enemies by 2 times, this should be an interesting fight. Suffice to say, 2 times is definitely fair. This is a proper display of the abilities my build can do. At one point, the burn damage went up to 1 million a proc. After Monoko gets defeated, Noko shows up to warn us about a select approaching. With the help of this new setup and a few telegraphed attacks from the Stalact, we were able to beat it fairly easily. At this point, Monoko finally became a party member, and the last one we can unlock so we don't have to drag any more dead weight. Yay! After Monoko finishes doing his magic trick, and after Monoko also just being Monoko,
Company.
We're heading for old Lumiere.
Okay, bye.
Hey, come on. Hey. Hey, look. I know we failed before, but look, you doofus. Don't you recognize her?
Of course I do.
Then you know what that means. This is our shot. It might be our only shot.
This is your only shot. Out of the question. I will never join you again.
There will be a lot of fighting, though.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's true.
There will be a lot of fighting.
Exactly.
Count me in then.
Good.
Good.
we head to Old Lumiere and find the Paintress's heart. And when we arrive, Ichigo tells Monoko to show off a bit. And then he shows off a little too hard. And now I'm stuck with 3 people I cannot use. So I will just have to run along until I finally start using my actual party members. If I'm not in combat with, these shitheads, it's completely okay for me to use them. They're the equivalent of the Phantom Blood crew, like in part 1 of JoJo's. Just Ichigo and Rukia being Jonathan Joestar, while the others just stand there and commentate. After a quick jaunt, we finally get back to our main characters. I'm quite glad we don't have any automatic encounters with the 3 useless party members, or else this run would have been over. Just like that. After failing to kill the basic enemies here, we make our way to the end of the area. Without Ichigo.
That's it?
Cool. We finally make our way to Manor and we see Renoir. Ichigo's brilliant plan fails immediately, and now we're forced to fight Renoir. And then Looney's on our team again. After that minor setback, we do the fight for real this time, and the first actual attempt, and Ichigo immediately gets blipped from existence, which follows me dying after the first grading attack. Second attempt, and it happens again. I suck at this game. After plenty more dying, I decide to equip 5 Pictos to both Ichigo and Rukia. All the new Pictos will be on screen right here. After changing Pictos, the fight went in my way. This is due to the fact I picked up energizing shots and burning shots, allowing me to burn and have a chance to get more shots in and have a better chance at burning. I can be able to stack this up enough for me to be able to kill him extremely easily. After the battle is over, Ichigo and Renoir clash. After said clash, Renoir is able to escape the battle. Back at camp, good news! SK has the ability to destroy coral. Bad news, Ichigo is Renoir's son. Oh no! They got this info from Expedition 58's journal logs. But with these journal logs, they can also get an idea of what they can do to get into the monolith, since it's currently blocked by a force field. They need to defeat at least 2 Axums to create a weapon to be able to pierce the barrier. One is too high up for them to reach, but the other 2 are really easy to traverse to. As soon as the cutscene ends, I head straight for the vestiges and come face to face with the Mask Keeper, who invites us in. He also tells us we're free to explore, but we have to go to the chamber at the very end. What you're usually supposed to do is you're supposed to go and visit the other paths first, which will weaken the boss if you kill all the mini-bosses. But we don't do that here. We're gonna go and immediately fight the boss. What's the worst that could happen? Without fighting the mini-bosses, this place could be incredibly short if we beat the boss relatively quickly. Well, first attempt didn't go my way. His attacks are a lot more slow than I remember, and that causes me to lose Rukia and Ichigo pretty fast. Shocking. Second attempt, and I was able to get him down and put him in the second phase, where the Mask Keeper reveals himself as the actual Axum. What a surprise! That's not the important part. The important part is the fact that I was able to do 3.5 million damage with the burn. Oh yeah, this comes together well. Now I just need to beat him. I don't want to talk about it. And after dying a few more times, I decide to use the Void moves, and after failing attempts after that over and over and over again, where I got so close, I finally get my opportunity. Do you guys care if I use this move? If this is something you guys don't like, please absolutely let me know so I don't have to make it a crutch in the future. After that's finished, we go and give the mask to a curator who flashes Renoir for just a moment before he turns back into the curator. That won't haunt Ruki's dreams for a while, not at all. With all that sorted, we head for Sirene. Like the last one, we get a glimpse of the Axum and what they could do. After everyone excluding Minoko gets hit by Love Drunk Typhoon, we go through the area to find the Axum. These maps are really explorer heavy, do you notice that? I really like that. It's just really cool. I like it. This place is awesome. Before we head to the boss arena, we stumble upon the optional boss. I'm not going to take my chances like I do with Visages, so I'm going to immediately attack it and kill it. Until I realize that Luna is on our team again! On our actual attempt, and nope, taking you off again. Before I keep going, I added more Pictos. They are currently on screen right now. With that out of the way, time for the Mud Snake fight, and the reason why I call him that is because he's a massive piece of shit. It's always that tail attack that gets me. I can never get the timing of it. Maybe use it for one more fight? And I beat it. Granted, it was still pretty difficult, but it was a Stenhole win. Still, yay! But at least we can finally get to the Axum. Now it's time to come on! Second attempt, I got extremely close. Payback is absolutely amazing, so this shouldn't take too long. Third attempt, and I didn't really get too far, died to the ballet, and I was never really good at dodging an attack, nor parrying it. That's my excuse. The fourth attempt, and it was the last, and all I had to do was burn her with energizing shots plus burning shots, and then I just had the last chance into payback so I could break her shield immediately. just gave me enough time to do it again to bring her down to final act. Then I just needed to keep on jump parrying and it sealed the deal, finishing the fight in just under 2 minutes. I was on these fights for really long. I lost a lot of footage. After the Axeman is defeated, we head back to camp, and after a little bit of chicanery, the curator creates the barrier breaker. Now, the run is not invalidated because I had this weapon. Let me just put it out there. It's only used in a cutscene, and I don't have to use it against anybody. With that out of the way, the monolith is now open for us to explore, and I waste no time doing so. Well, not before celebrating our accomplishments with the party with a lot of adult apple juice. After a little bit, Alicia shows up next to Ichigo and gives him a letter. Now this letter will be important, so keep this in mind. After that, we head straight for the monolith. Rukia uses the barrier breaker to penetrate the monolith, and now it's time to take the fight to the paintress. Our attacks are doing nothing. How about this? Now? There's nothing we can do? Well, shit. At least nothing until we enter the rare world and see the actual paintress, who sets the party on fire because, I don't know, it's funny. After following her through her own portal, we arrive inside the monolith. Rukia senses the heart above us, so that's where we head. After traversing the monolith, we find ourselves at the penultimate boss of Act 2, Renoir, who stands in our way of the paintress. In this fight, Renoir has 2 phases, one where he fights alone, and his second phase where he gets enraged and he summons a beast. There are many serious challenges that this fight poses, because of Renoir having fucking enraged, dude. I hate it so much. It's so annoying. Why? And because of the serious threat that he posed, I had many more chances to screw up a parry or dodge. And then I had to go and waste a turn reviving. And then it just became an uphill battle way too quickly. During this fight, I continued to use my setup of focusing on getting S rank as soon as possible on Ichigo for his 200% increase in damage and 300% burn increase with my Zanbakudo. With Rukia, I used Last Chance to proc Rukia's Virtuous Stance, and using this setup, I continue to hit my head against a wall. Despite my efforts, I continue to fail. Even minorly slipping up once can cause my death, just like that. After countless, and I mean countless deaths, because I lost the footage, I decided to switch Shield Affinity with Immedias to provide myself with some survivability, and 5 more Pictos to even the odds, in keeping me sane. I decided my best play was to go for more offense, which, in doing so, I will be one-shot the entire time. Not like I was in one-shot already. And after learning his timing, Ichigo and Rukia finally pushed through after an hour, and I mean an hour of attempts, and this fight's like 3-4 minutes long. For the fight, Renoir stuns the party with the Wicked Itch, and it works until Curator and Rukia put their hands on him and Dr. Manhattan him out of existence. Finally. After the fight, I had to take a break, like a day or two, just a break. I could not sit down to play this game, because after that fight, I was just done. But after a while mulling it over, I get back to it and I send the steps to the paintress. From this point, I won't mention continual attempts for the first phase. I will only mention the second phase once I get past the first. And there is going to be a reason why. First attempt of the second phase, and I got nearly close to beating her. Unfortunately, she cursed me, and I burned to death at the same time. And after that, I decided to take burden on Ichigo. So if this were to happen, I was able to take it off Rukia. And I'll just tell you right now, it didn't work. Some of her attacks are pretty easy to dodge and to parry. Unfortunately, my inability to realize when I had to do so led me to countless deaths. I did change my Pictos to give me an edge in the fight, and the Pictos are on screen right here. Unfortunately, this fight took an entire day of attempts. After my initial attempts that I lost the recording of. Again. Which also took an entire day of attempts. And I'm sad to admit, I could not beat it without lowering the health back to normal. It sucks, and if there was anybody in the audience who was excited to see me beat this challenge with 2 times health, I'm sorry. And I hate that I couldn't, it just sucks. I'm sorry. After the fight, the paintress dies in the arms of Ichigo, Rukia planting the flag at the very peak of the monolith after she finally passes away. Our party returns to Lumiere, congratulated by everybody. They are celebrated for their heroic deeds and finally stopping the gommage, showing that yes, you can indeed beat Expedition 33 as Ichigo and... What do you mean to tell me there's a third act in this game? Ain't no way. With the image of Ichigo inside a room engulfed in flames, we wake up to Rukia. She's missing an eyeball and she has a nasty burn on her face. Then we hear her sister calling out for her. So yeah, Rukia has actually been Alicia this entire time. We find out a little later the reason why she's very badly burnt, and that's because of a house fire. This house fire took the life of her brother, Verso, and the one we've been calling Ichigo this entire time. Well, most of the time. After a little bit of chatting, we go back into the painted world once again. This time, Rukia has a new head of hair, that being white instead of her normal redhead hair. Including that, we also get to see Ichigo once again. He's sitting on a bench after the gommage. Alicia wants to be called Mayo now, which goes against the script. We're calling you Rukia, damn it! After a chat between their brother and sister pair, Rukia wants to find Renoir. Them being related, she wants him to help repaint the canvases. This is so damage of the gommage can be undone. When they get to him, however, he has a different perspective of things. He says that canvases, or the canvases that they're currently in, must be erased, and this will be the only way to save the family. Rukia is obviously distraught by this, initially thinking that he could help because she's his favorite apparently, so she runs away with Ichigo to conjure a plan to push him out of the canvases forever. This is so the painted world won't be destroyed and he won't be able to control the beings inside of it. After reviving the allies who were gommaged, they set out to use the chroma of the fallen to make an army to storm Lumiere. And after traversing Lumiere, barely holding off Renoir's creations, we finally come face to face with the actual version of Renoir, not some painted copy. This time, the fate of the entire canvases lies in our hands. They do attempt to talk him down to let the canvases be, but this would raise a problem. Rukia would die in here if she stays, though that won't be relevant until later. These are my final pictos that we'll equip for this run. It's Ichigo and Rukia versus Renoir time, baby. Using Sword Ballet for damage and payback to break, his first phase goes down easily. After the Axums are summoned, Aynd, Rukia's mother, and Renoir's wife come to aid of the duo. Renoir, obviously pissed, makes this fight harder by powering up. Now his attacks become unpredictable to parry, so I must dodge. With a mixture of burn procs that deal 3.5 million damage when I finally stack them up correctly, and payback, Renoir uses his massive attack. The first attack I don't dodge, but the rest is simple for me. And after the combining a beautiful gommage into payback, it was enough to end Renoir's reign over the canvases. When the fight ends, Renoir shows the party how the canvases affect Aynd, showing that she's practically a walking corpse and doesn't want that to happen to the rest of his family. Rukia stands strong in her resolve, but Ichigo on the other hand sees what he's talking about. Rukia promises to not stay in the canvases forever, and it was enough to convince Renoir. But Ichigo? He knows what he must do. When the chance arises, Ichigo jumps into the portal Renoir created and enters the in-between, where the painted world and the real world meet. And he sees a faceless child drawing on the floor. That child is Ichigo, the real one. The soul can only paint, and the one that hasn't been laid to rest properly. Ichigo approaches the child and tells him to stop painting. As he does so, Rukia stops him. She lied. She wasn't planning on leaving the canvases ever, and so we have a choice to make. Do we side with Ichigo and destroy the painted world forever, letting little kid Ichigo finally rest in peace and dooming Rukia to an existence that she doesn't want? Or do we stay with Rukia, practically making her kill herself in a painted world, but letting her live in the world that she always wanted, forcing the little kid Ichigo to paint forever? Because I wanted to make this interesting and make it not feel like a one-woman show, also personally believing that this is the correct and canonical option, I side with Ichigo and prepare to fight Rukia. How will this end? We'll find out. This game proves to be anticlimactic as ever. Ichigo defeats Rukia, Rukia begins to fade. With our path chosen, the canvases are no more. And with that, all the people we've grown accustomed to throughout this entire playthrough fade away. Monoko, SKA, Ciel, and finally, Lune, who pouts. Kid Ichigo's soul finally rests in peace, no longer needing to paint the canvases anymore. The two fade away, holding hands as they accept their fate, finishing the game and proving yes, you can indeed beat Expedition 33 as Ichigo and Rukia. This was mixed. On one hand, I feel like I had a lot of fun, but on the other, I feel like I could have done a lot more and made this a lot more entertaining. But what do you guys think? Leave what you think in the comments below and I'll read all of it because I am a loser. As always, feel free to like this video and subscribe as I want to upload these videos on a somewhat frequent basis. My name is Squatp and I'll see you all in the next one.